if somebody's going to use AI to write a book or to do art, you're going to know it's AI. So it's not.
They have to disclaim it. It's an
Well, yeah,
ethical law
they have to
now.
disclaim it, and you're just not going to get the same thing as something that's passionately and soulfully, created. Like it's just different. It's just
It is different.
I don't think people need to be as fearful of AI as
No, they
as maybe
don't.
they are.
I know there was I just saw this, the US Copyright Congress, or Congress of Copyright, however they phrase that, but they released a law last year that said that anything made by AI, even a book cover, is considered public domain because it was not made by a human.
Yeah.
So that's the new law now. So you can't copyright anything that was
Yeah.
made by AI. And
Yeah.
that's their way of protecting and saying, you technically don't know where AI got its imagination from, right? Because it's fed so much data when it's doing the machine learning and all that.
Yeah.
So you can't say one way it's not, you can't say it's mine. You can't. It's public domain.
Yeah.
So whether it's images, content, whatever it is public domain.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's your your tit for tat. You can use it to create this stuff, but it's not yours. It's public domain. And I don't think anybody in their right mind are going to use AI to write a book or to create art and then
if
say,
they do,
I did this,
dude, right? And so I think there's a trend. I think that the trend, and I think every author felt it was, where is AI going to lead us? Are we going to be in 5 years? Are we going to be just nothing? And everything's going to be AI generated. I do think there's going to be a niche where there are going to be books created by AI, but there's also going to be movie studios that literally put entire departments dedicated to AI generated films. That's already in the works. They don't talk about that, but that's already happening. But that doesn't mean everything's going to completely disappear. I think it's going to be more of it's a tool. It's another method of creating.
And honestly, I think that might give more value, because I think art is already of utmost value.
Yeah.
But I think once AI becomes a stream of art or entertainment or music, writing, reading, whatever, once it becomes mainstream, I think it'll make the real authors and artists and movie directors and whatever all that much more valuable.
I completely agree with you. That is my running theory, is that you're going to have the influx of AI generated content. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it all the time with illustration work. I have told a handful of people that reach out to me and I say, yeah, my posts are made with AI. The images you see are AI generated.
Sure.
Because I would be a fool not to utilize something that can create real images that, to me, reflect the themes I want to deliver.
Right.
And that I don't have to worry about pulling from Pinterest and somebody saying that's copyrighted work or anything like that. Think about the liabilities when you come to marketing as an author. And I can't afford thousands of posts to be made by hand for me. I physically can't.
Do you wish you could? 100%. Absolutely.
100%. The Cyrus image that I had done for me by my illustrator, who is incredible.
Yeah.
That is my screensaver. It is printed. It is like all over the place. I love it because I value it so much, because I know there was money put into it. It was done by a real person.
Right.
And it is so cool. But when it comes to marketing, when you have, for example, you have multiple things happening at once. One, people get tired of seeing the same image and same content.
Right.
So you have to constantly change that up, which means you constantly have to introduce new marketing photos.
Right.
And then on top of that, you have the algorithm. You need to be posting almost every day in order to be in the algorithm, to be extending your reach, which, mind you, I know we've had conversations in the past regarding where the heck is the algorithm going.
Right.
But I've noticed I do have a lot of success when I'm consistent 4 or 5 days out of the week. And I just it's just a law in my day. Like, this is when I post. And so you have multiple things going on right now that you need to be utilizing your resources. And to me, AI and creating images with AI is just a resource.
Right. That's all it is a resource.
Yeah.
I mean, think about tools like an online thesaurus or something like that everyone uses. Or if you Google, what's another term for, I don't know, so you're writing a historical fiction and you need to
Yeah.
know what a term for trousers was back in who knows what, but you type it in, you look for it. That's all AI. It's you're using a
AI is
tool.
freaking everywhere.
Right. That's an AI tool that you're using. So use it as a tool, just don't use it and claim it's yours.
Exactly. And that's where there was a fact I came across, and it said AI's been around since like the early 1970s, or it was
Yeah.
the 1950s or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't know that. People
Right.
don't realize how integrated AI's been since
Right.
like for decades
Right.
already. And
Every
it,
every every Google search you've ever done in your entire life in the history of ever, that's
yeah,
AI.
that's AI.
Yeah.
So I think that I think the moral of the story is utilize it as a tool, but don't abuse it.
Right.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's what's really important here. And I think I was guilty of it when AI first came out and I started seeing all this like Mid Journey, Night Cafe,
Right.
other sources. I was like, oh my gosh, like they
Right.
could literally just like replace my book, you know?
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
when Chat GPT first came out, it was like the second or third model. I think it was like the second.
Yeah.
But you literally plug in like what is the Varelian saga about, and
Yeah.
tell me these details, and it just spit out this crazy amount of information about my book, and I was like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's a search engine.
Right.
All it does is
That's all it is.
compile data
All it
and
does is
says
compile data and spit it back out. It's
exactly. And
like
so
I thought it was great the first time I what did I do? I said, write a paragraph in the style of Micah Campbell, author of Urban Legends, Ghost Stories, and Folklore. And I tell you not, I kid you not, dude, it spit out a paragraph that was written like me, like sarcastic, broke the fourth wall, like used big words, all in the same paragraph. Like
yeah,
it was hilarious. I cracked up. So like to me, it was like I wasn't like, oh man, they're stealing my. No, it's like that's freaking
no,
awesome.
because you can utilize it.
Yeah,
It is a tool you can utilize. I mean, I have watched so many videos on AI recently because I'm obviously diving
you're
into
doing
all
all
that
your yeah,
education. And it's just like I've grown such an appreciation for it. And it's just it is a tool, and
yeah.
that's what it's meant for. The hyper fixation of AI is going to take over the world. It can't. It physically can't, because guess what? You would take away the entire stability of what the economy is made out
Right.
of, which is people being paid to do jobs to pay back into the
Which I
economy.
mean, that is the horror.
Yeah.
We see movies, we see dystopian.
iRobot. I
Yeah,
mean,
iRobot, T2, just to
yeah.
name a few, but you see that all the time. And so yes, maybe who knows, maybe that could happen, and maybe that's how the human race goes into extinction.
Maybe
But
that's the end.
right, maybe that's the end. But for the here and now and for what people are so afraid of it for, at least people on our level. I don't know about the high thinkers and I don't know about all that,
Yeah.
but for what artists and authors and things like that are thinking, you're never, we've said it ad nauseum, you're never going to replace the human with a robot.
You're
You can't
never
do
going to
it.
replace the
It's
human.
not going to happen.
Never,
Yeah.
never, never. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. You got
I
to
saw a article on Threads where, I can't remember the publishing company. I can't remember the author, but apparently they used an AI generated image as part of the cover. So the cover was done, whatever, but then the artist that did it, used an AI generated part of the image. And like it was an uproar. They were trying to cancel the book, cancel
yeah.
the author, all this kind of stuff. And I was like,
Was it Christopher Poloni?
I don't think so. Because I think I would have
Christopher
remembered that.
Poloni, his next book, his Fractal, the second book in his sci-fi world,
Okay.
was produced with AI. The
Okay.
cover was.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. This was
Hmm.
like a year ago, maybe. Don't come for me on time
Yeah. Yeah.
anymore. I don't know. But
What is time?
what is time?
Yeah.
But I was so disappointed because I saw something that said Christopher Poloni's newest book isn't done with AI. It was right before Murtaugh came out. So this one,
Okay.
it was the sci-fi one. And I was like, wow, really? I had no idea. I thought the cover was badass, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Sure.
And I went to Goodreads because I was kind of stalking things out. And I went to his book, and people before the book was even released were 1-star bombing the book
Yeah.
because of the AI generated cover.
It's crazy.
And I thought, that is cruel.
Yeah.
He did not have a choice in that matter.
Right. Right. That was his publisher.
That was his publisher.
And I mean, as long as it's in there somewhere in the, in the copyright page or somewhere, cover created by AI,
It's
they're not
public domain work. It can be
right.
literally republished. Anyone can use
Right.
it.
And they're not stealing it from anybody. It's like that
No.
that's what blows my mind.
That's what the Copyright Office did. They said, you cannot claim this as yours. That was
Yeah.
their way of protecting and saying nobody can claim AI created content as their own. It is
Yeah.
public domain.
Yeah.
Anybody can go find a cover that is AI generated and republish it as their
Sure.
own.
Yeah.
Done.
And that's like we said, that's just kind of the tit for tat for getting free awesome art or whatever is like
Right.
it's not yours.
Every image I make, somebody can go, hey, can I use that? Or hey, I'm going to go find your Night Cafe account and I'm going to use the images.
Right.
Congrats.
They don't even have to ask you. They can just
They
go
don't
use
even
it.
have to ask.
Right.
They can find because Night Cafe is where I create these images for marketing.
Well, and since I'm working on my epic fantasy novel,
You are.
I was thinking about cutting corners and not really doing the work. So since I know that you use AI for all of your sagas, I was just going to go data mine your
go data mine it.
Yeah, and just use yours and change a couple names, do some control Fs and change some names.
All those months of crying over a document, it was really just a facade. I was faking the whole thing.
It was just it was all AI. I know that. Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Speaking of crying, have you seen? I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's in the Instagram group. You would know her, but she's going through the exact same thing with KDP as Adam and I went through a couple weeks ago.
Are you talking about the Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica. Yeah.
I just saw her reel.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh, my heart broke for her.
Yeah,
she is like completely. She's saying somebody else is claiming it to her work.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's what I had thought at first when with Adam's book, because they sent it to me and said this is a copyright claim. You don't own it. You mother right. I own it. I absolutely own it. Here's the contract. Here's everything like that. But it took weeks, and we had to send in photo IDs and contracts on top of contracts. And Adam and I had to rewrite a new contract between each other and like all this weird stuff. Right. So I reached out to her and I told her all that, and hopefully that helps her out a little bit.
Oh,
but yeah, she's going through the same thing. Somebody before the book was even released, so she had it, and she went a step further. She even went through the U.S. copyright, and she got it all copyrighted, which I know all your books are done that way. But they're saying that's not enough, and this isn't your work, and we're not publishing it. Which really
so that doesn't even make any sense though. Like the fact that she has U.S. copyright, she can present that and say
she has,
and they're saying it's not. Like why?
Yeah.
Do they say it's somebody else's work?
That's what they're saying is that somebody else has already claimed it as theirs, even though that somebody else obviously doesn't have the copyright because it's totally bogus.
I was gonna say legally. And that's what the copyright is for, which is why I even invested in it, it gives you an extra layer of legal protection. It doesn't completely protect you, but it's supposed to. What?
My thoughts are that Amazon is just a giant machine.
Yeah.
It's just a giant machine.
Yeah.
And so they've got these algorithms and these if this then that sets.
Don't JavaScript me right now.
Which you know about now since you're doing script.
Or Python, dude.
Right. So but they have this if this then that, and that's it. So in Jessica's case, yes, legally it's hers, and she could take them to court.
She would win.
Right. And she would win.
Yeah.
But does she have the money to do that? Does she have the time to do that? No. And so she's still up a creek without a paddle. And so the big thing, have you never heard that, of a creek without a paddle?
I think it's been like 10 years since I heard that. That was like Arizona. Like I grew up on that one.
Up a creek without a paddle. But that's also going to screw over because even if she goes to Ingram, okay, and she does it through Ingram.
Ingram's going to,
The problem is when those two merge and Ingram starts to distribute on Amazon's going to flag it as copyrighted. And then Ingram's going to say, whoa, this is a copyrighted book. Dude, it's a gigantic mess.
That is every author's worst nightmare come to life.
Yeah.
Like it gives me like a deep, deep, deep anxiety.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing that could ever happen. Does she have any idea who or where or what it's being compared to, her work?
I don't. So when I talked to her, I just told her what Adam and I went through, and I sent her the emails and showing her, this is how they respond. They don't respond as a human. They respond as
it's
pretty much
automated.
Respond as, F you, you're boned is basically every, it's basically every response.
Yeah.
But I thought she had said that she knows who did it. I can't recall. It was in her first.
I want to say you're right. Now that I think
Yeah,
about it, I want to say she knows the author who
yeah,
is claiming it's her work.
which is just unreal to me.
Which I'm like, okay, first off, dude, Micah, listen, I know there are some messed up people in the world.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
And I have been in the community for a handful of years now, you too.
yeah,
And I've met, good people, amazing people I've connected with. I've met some not so. I'm like, maybe I'll keep
sure,
my distance from you.
yeah,
But I have never come across anybody who has outright taken my work
right.
and reclaimed it as their own.
Who's straight up vile? Yeah,
And I'm
who's
like,
who's an actual
what
thief?
kind of human being are you?
Yeah,
Honestly, like,
yeah,
what is going on with the world when you feel justified to
right.
take somebody else's hard work? I mean, imagine you, like, you're over a decade into this fantasy world that
Yeah,
you are building, writing, all of that,
yeah,
and you send it to God knows who and says, beta read this for me, because that's the only
yeah.
thing I can think of how this is
Right,
taken.
right.
And then they go, oh, cool, now I've
Yeah,
got something to publish,
right.
and they
Which I mean,
republish it.
none of it makes any sense because even if you go in and you mine the hard drive, it's going to show when it was created, and but again, that's all legal stuff.
I was gonna
Amazon
say it's
doesn't care
legal
about.
stuff, and a lot of people don't even know where to begin to
Right.
start.
You'd be looking at lawyers, you'd be looking at legal fees, you'd be looking at all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, do I fight Amazon, in court and lose tons and tons
They
of
are a
money?
billion-dollar
Right.
company. You'll
Right.
never win against that because
Or am I
they'll soak you out.
right? Or am I screwed in my book that I spent the last year and a half on, never
Yeah,
never make it to the light of day.
that's my biggest fear. That I think that's why when I got into publishing, I and again, I don't know if it was a beta reader, but one of the biggest fears I had with beta readers was, one, what if they took my work and republished
Yeah.
it? Because technically it's not even that far advanced where it's not even uploaded. There's nothing out there that says it's mine besides
Right.
my own name
Right.
that says I worked on this for freaking 2-3 years, whatever.
Yeah.
And they can take it and republish it and do whatever the heck they want with it.
Right.
And I think that's why I strayed away a lot from beta readers. I know there's amazing beta readers out there. Authors have
Sure.
incredible experiences with it.
Yeah.
But I'm a very big, like, what could go wrong?
Right.
And
Well,
so,
and we've had, like, when you and I have worked together with some authors, to edit for them and format with them, and when I've done my own freelance stuff, they'll say, hey, will you sign a
NDA.
NDA, or will you do all that kind of stuff? And I understand where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't you don't have to worry about me stealing your stuff. I'm not going to steal your stuff.
No, dude.
It ain't that big of a thing for me, bro. But I
No.
do understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. I totally get it. I mean, I use the same editor that I've used since The Blood of the Lion.
Yeah.
And when we first started working together, he was like, if you need me to sign an NDA, like, I can totally do that. And I was like, why would I have you sign me an NDA?
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
bro, this is a paid service. Like,
Right.
we got each other,
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was a while. I mean, I even think the second book he even asked about an NDA. I was like,
Yeah.
no, dude, you don't have.
No, dude, I trust you, man.
I
I trust
trust
you.
you. I'm like,
But
we're
I
this deep into the relationship. I'm not
right.
going anywhere.
But apparently there are those nasty people, and I do say nasty, man. I think one of the worst things in the world is a thief, whether it's
I agree with you.
stealing somebody else's created work, whether it's stealing somebody's cute little gnome out of the garden in their backyard. I don't like thieves, man. I hate thieves.
It really gets under my skin because I'm
Yeah.
like, you as a person have to lay your head down at night. And how do you do that knowing you took somebody else's hard work?
Right.
Knowing that you took somebody else's asset, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
and say that was their own. They spent money on that, time on that, whatever, dedication, whatever you want to
Right.
call it.
Whatever it was, one of the things that kills me is when you watch those videos of the porch pirates, people just
Oh my God, I
stealing
want to
packages
punch
off
them.
people's porch. It's like,
Punch them.
what kind of nerve, what kind of human are you that you can just walk up to somebody's porch and just
And
steal their
take it.
stuff? It
So
blows my mind.
it happened to me. I live in a freaking butt heck of nowhere.
Right.
I was
On
gonna
top
say
of a
that.
mountain.
On
Right.
top of a mountain, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I have a PO box because I technically don't even have a mailbox that gets
Yeah.
delivered.
Yeah.
However, at the base of my dirt road, like, you wind up and then I'm there, but if you take this little road down and you get onto the main road, there is a cluster of post office boxes
Yeah.
or mailboxes, and the mail will come over there. That's the farthest they go.
Yeah.
And there's like 6 of them there for neighbors in that area.
Yeah.
And there was a moment 3 or 4 months where our UPS would drop boxes down there for
Oh,
us.
yeah.
When we were like, dude, we've lived here for years and they always
Right.
come to our address.
Right.
And I, at the time, had bought printouts of all my maps. I did a big investment. I
Awesome.
had a
Yeah.
beautiful custom map printouts with
Yeah.
frames and everything. I've got one hanging in front of me right now.
Awesome.
And I was so proud of it. And then literally we started having people stealing our stuff at the base of this road. And we live in nowhere. Like,
Right.
so whoever's doing this is obviously somewhere in the community, in the town.
Right.
Somebody is doing this.
Right.
And I had maps dropped off down there, and within hours, they were stolen.
Dude, that sucks.
Yeah. And at the time, I was having books dropped off too. I had maybe $500 or $600 worth of author copies being dropped off. And I was panicking.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to contact UPS. I was trying to do anything. And they were like, we'll just fill out a complaint form. And I'm like, F you, dude. I'm like, this is the 12th package stolen by the neighbors this week.
Yeah.
Because we weren't the only people being stolen from.
Right.
Here's the kicker. This is where it gets crazy. I was so grateful. The company that did all the printouts for my maps honored it and reprinted everything.
Seriously. Wow.
I was so grateful. I was like, because it was a bit of money. You know, it was a few $100s. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are amazing. Thank you.
That's awesome. And
luckily, don't know how, but my author copies ended up showing up at my house, even in the middle of all this. So must have been an UPS driver that knew what he was doing. Right. Love you, UPS. Don't come for me.
Exactly. UPS in general, I really do love the UPS.
I do love you, awesome. But awesome. There was a minute there. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Well, it probably wasn't UPS. It was probably like a Amazon driver that wasn't actually, but it's just one of those, like,
I don't know.
Back out in the country, it was so funny. Like when we get UPS, man, they would drive down our gravel, they'd get out, they'd give the dogs treats. I'd bring them out lemonade, things like that. Cause that's just how it rolls.
That's my experience with UPS too. Like I love them.
Yeah. And then once Amazon switched to having their own drivers, which are basically just Uber people that, put on Amazon, they would be throwing stuff like we have like
memes.
Oh yeah, and that's what it would be. I'd be like sitting there on my porch and I'd get a call and it'd be from the Amazon driver. So it would come from Seattle or wherever Amazon's, so it'd be, and it'd come to my phone. This is Micah. And they'd be like, yeah, this is blah, blah, blah. I'm delivering a package, but I don't feel comfortable coming down your driveway.
What?
Yeah. And I'm staring at them. It's like a quarter mile, maybe half a mile gravel driveway. And I'm like, why? Well, I'm afraid my car could get stuck, so I'm going to leave your package here. And then they would just leave it there and they would bounce. That happened like multiple times.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, when Amazon switched to doing those hired drivers,
no,
it turned to crap.
It turned to crap. It turned to crap. But no, I got the plot twist. 3 weeks later, my new maps are here.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, a box shows up leaning against those mailboxes, opened and halfway destroyed. It was my maps. Somebody re-dropped them off. They were opened. They were
this isn't something I want. I'll put them back.
Yeah. They were scratched to all ends of earth. Like the frames were destroyed.
That's crazy.
And the box looked like crap. All the padding that was in the box was taken out because I had already gotten the new shipment.
Yeah, right.
And so it was like, I knew how they were packed.
Right.
And I'm like, what the heck? We had just been leaving the house. It was like on a whim. And I'm like, wait, that box looks familiar.
Yeah.
And we got it in. I was like, dude, those are my original maps that I ordered. Like,
that's crazy.
Isn't that weird? I was so freaking like, I was like, F humanity.
I hate people. I hate people so much.
I was so disgusted. I was like, so you didn't like my those maps probably meant nothing to you.
Right. Oh, what were they expecting? I don't know, man. I just hate it. I hate thieves. I hate thieves.
I know.
So, back to that point. Yeah, Jessica's having a real hard time with somebody.
God, I really hope that freaking resolves.
I do too. Yeah.
I am so disappointed in people when I hear that.
Yeah.
It really hurts like my soul.
Yeah. Pretty awful. And then of course that goes back to, I guess how we started the conversation was with AI and how, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I could totally see where people were like, especially if you were an artist, like an actual graphic
yeah,
designer or anything like that, and you were like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, like that's kind of got my work. I think there were a few cases like that broke out into the public spotlight.
yeah,
Hey, that's got replications of my work in it. I think
right,
that's where the US copyright stepped up and said,
yeah,
okay, well, if it's AI generated, it's nobody's work.
right,
So I guess you could say that's kind of like a BS way of addressing the fact that AI does have replications of work that
right,
is created by other people.
right.
It's
I don't know.
very
I just
yeah,
it's
it's a
very gray.
complex, yeah,
Yeah,
very,
it's
very
very
gray.
complex. It's very gray. It personally doesn't bother me. Would I ever use it for creation purposes? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But anyone who does, well, I mean, you can't say
Yeah.
it's yours, so so
Why? I
whatever.
mean, if you published a book that was all AI generated, anybody could take that and republish it as their own. So keep that in mind if you're thinking, maybe I'll use AI to write. Please don't. Please
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
That's where my line is drawn so severely. It's like freaking it is the Mariana Trench, dude. Like it is
right,
so freaking
right.
deep on that line.
And
So
like I've said, I've used it before for research or for looking for keywords
yeah,
or
research is
for things,
fantastic.
for things like that. And, I think it's a great tool. Like you said in the
Yeah,
beginning, it's a great tool. Just don't use it for nefarious, or don't lie about your
right.
use of it.
You can't rip on AI for producing something when it was fed that data.
Right. It's already, the data is already out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is the I guess the part, the reason it doesn't really bother me.
No, it
But
doesn't.
I am not an AI expert, so you very well could disagree with me, and that's 100% cool.
Yeah, this is
Like,
not a please
yeah,
don't come for us.
yeah, this is not a hard rule of what I say goes, because I'm just talking out my butt. That's all I'm doing.
I think AI is fascinating. The deeper I get into it, the more I
Yeah,
realize the tool it can be used as, the benefits it can have.
yeah,
I know there was an antibiotic that was
right.
created with unsupervised AI,
Yeah,
and that was able to resolve a serious illness that was
right.
happening. And I can't remember the name of the illness, but it was because of all the data it was fed, and it was given an unsupervised environment where it was able to be more creative.
Yeah,
And it came out with this thing and it said, well, what if you do this kind of antibiotic? Because obviously the advanced models that are being used by businesses and multi-million dollar corporations are not available to the public. It's just the facts. So what we're experiencing are, as my dad always says, because he works with AI in his business,
yeah,
he says the AI you use today is the dumbest version you'll ever see.
right,
And he goes, in the
right.
public, it's dumb.
Yeah,
He's like, there are doctoral level AI models that are used by corporations all over the world. And
yeah.
one of those was the one that created this antibiotic that helped saved countless lives.
Which, of course,
So you
now we're
gotta,
going back.
yeah.
We're going back to our point that AI is probably going to be the thing that destroys humanity, because if it can create an antibiotic just out on a whim, it's like a Friday night and AI is bored, so it's like, I'm gonna create a antibiotic that saves you. And it probably just as easily can go create some virus that is going to wipe everyone out like
I
in
don't know
30 seconds.
why dude, you make me think there was this game on my phone that I played years ago,
Yeah,
and you were able to you had this world map and you could create viruses, bacteria, what airborne
I think I
illnesses,
remember that.
and
I
your
think I remember
goal
that.
was to wipe out humanity.
That's awesome.
And it was like kind of AI generated, where it was like it was
Yeah,
very reactive to your
right,
decisions.
right.
And so whatever decision you made, it would present a new obstacle, or it would say, you know what, too many factors are going up against you.
Right.
You no longer can be effective at wiping out civilization.
Did you see and it was on, I guess, for chess players, there's this program or this community, I don't know what server it's run on or anything, but it's where you can play virtual chess, and
Mm,
from beginners to world
yeah.
best chess players. And you're ranked and blah blah blah, and so it's super legit. But I guess they'd found that some people were using AI to win chess matches and
Oh
to get ranked,
no.
because these ranks go into like the world rank, and then that's how you get into the tournaments and things like that.
Yeah.
And
Queen's
you're talking,
Gambit, dude.
yeah, yeah. So people were actually like using AI, and like somebody had, I guess the company or the organization had figured it out, and like,
Oh.
yeah, because nobody can win like you just won. It had to, and so then they figured out that it was AI that was
And
actually making
that
the plays.
is abusing AI.
Right, Right.
There is a fine, blurred, gray line.
A super fine, not fine at all line on
On
AI.
being a tool and abusing it. And
Exactly.
I think the moral of the story, and then I'll get off my soapbox, but I think the moral of the story is give it time. And I
Yeah.
think the influx of AI generated and using AI is massive right now because it's one of the fastest advancing technologies the world has ever seen, and it's being integrated everywhere. And mind you, it was already integrated in very small amounts, but now it's being put into fields that we never thought was possible before.
Right.
I.e., the artists and community and creators field.
Right. Right.
And so I think a lot of people are like, whoa, stepping on my toes. Let's chill
Right.
out, you know?
Right.
And I think in the next 5 years, I think it's maybe even less. I think it's really going to chill out. And I think
Yeah.
what we got to in the very beginning was the value of human created work is going to increase significantly.
Right. And I think that I think that maybe it may not chill out. What will happen is there will be a very, very distinguishable delineation between what is
Yeah.
AI and what is human created. Well, right now, since it's kind of new to the environment and everybody's kind of piddling with it and trying to see what they can get away with and what actually works, like you said, the line is kind of blurred. But I think down the road, yeah, it may become very used in all of the creative spaces, but there will be a stark and evident, obvious line
Right.
of what is AI and what
The
is,
line is
yeah,
going to be drawn this time.
right,
It's
right,
blurred.
exactly,
It may not exist right now, but we're working
right,
on drawing the line.
right,
I have a question, and this comes up from a something I just saw in the community, and I really, really, really want to know your opinion on this.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing about this. What is your thoughts on this? What is called the 1-star initiation, where authors will share their first 1-star review, and they publicly post the 1-star review and they say, look at this, read it. This is my thoughts on it. I guess I'm officially initiated now, blah, blah, blah. Because I've started to see a little bit of backlash from the reader community that says this comes across as petty. Personally, I'm not a fan of sharing my 1-star. Like, if I don't even know, actually, I don't even check my reviews, so I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I'll,
But
I'll check. I'll check, and I'll read you all your
no, you
1-star reviews
shouldn't.
later. Yeah,
It'll
yeah,
make me die.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because as I've told you in the past, like whether it's positive or negative reviews, reading reviews of my own work gives me anxiety. So
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
don't even look.
Right.
But I am not fond of blasting a 1-star review all over the place because I do feel like it's a little bit
So here's
petty.
my thoughts on it. Um, I think there's ways to be tactful about it,
Yeah,
and there's ways to be funny about it because
funny.
it is.
Mike Salt, I think is his name.
Yeah. Is that the guy that goes through and finds 1-star reviews and puts them on?
I don't know, but
Okay.
he's a horror author, and
Okay.
I've seen him share 1-star reviews before,
Yeah.
but he does it very funny.
Humorously. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that word,
Yeah. Humorously.
and it
Humorously
works.
funny.
It really does work.
No, I agree. So I think there's a way to be tactful. It could also be a defense mechanism. It could actually hurt you.
And that's where I think it comes to.
Right. So say I'm the author, and I am focused on reviews, and so I go look at a review and I get a scathing 1-star review that just rails me.
Yeah,
I'm hurt. I'm hurt.
yeah,
And so I want to put that out as kind of like a deflective mechanism, So there's that. I don't think that's healthy. Do what you want to do. That's okay. Regardless of why you're doing it. Now I have put out my I think the lowest one that had a comment was a 3-star, and I put that out. I thought it was funny.
yeah,
Um, but my thing is, if there's a name attached, get rid of the name, because you're not putting that reader on blast, no matter who it is, or you don't want to put somebody on blast.
yeah,
So black out the name and black out any personal information. But if you just want to put it up there, I don't have a problem with that. If you're doing it for fun, or if you're like saying, I guess I'm initiated, like when everybody was getting COVID, oh, now I'm initiated. Look, I got
yeah,
COVID,
yeah,
whatever. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with if you're blasting the person that left the review.
yeah. And
Then
there
you're
was a
getting, then
name
it,
attached.
yeah, then it's getting real. Or if you combat it, or if you try to explain it away.
And that's where I think I have a problem with it. Is like I've noticed where when authors do share those 1-star reviews, they were like, "Oh, look how funny this is," but watch me defend the entire thing in like a
Right.
16-page novel on this
Right.
post.
If you say, "Oh, they were wrong
It's
about
very
this because of this, and
defensive.
they were wrong about this because of this, and they got this wrong because of this." Well,
Yeah.
of course they did. They gave it a 1-star review.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
yeah.
if it's funny, if you want to put it out there, haha, laugh, because
Because
everybody
there's
gets
some
it.
really funny 1-star reviews. Like
Oh, there are some
there was
great
one,
1-star reviews.
yeah, like somebody literally had one like this. There was and it became a meme. It said something like, "It feels like everything, the author made up everything." And it
That's
was a fiction
hilarious.
book. And somebody was
That
like,
is hilarious.
"Dude,
That's so
WTF."
funny.
Like,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Like, that
Yes,
is
I
funny.
did make everything up.
Yes.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. But
Yeah.
if the 1-star review is like detailed, somewhat constructive,
Right. Yeah,
like
if
I
it's constructive,
kind of,
if the 1-star review is nasty, if it's like seriously like if it's
yeah.
just gross, then like you obviously know that person's a hater, and I think there should be an option to have it reviewed and
I agree.
reviewed for legitimacy. And if it's legitimate, great. If it's just nasty and it's then it should be removed. I think there should be an option for that. Do I think there should be an option for authors to manipulate and control reviews? Absolutely not.
Gosh,
Of
no,
course not.
businesses do that. And look how
Right.
far that's gotten
Right.
them.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
There should not be. But if there's a nasty review where it's just by a hater and they're just hating to hate, then but that's a whole nother topic. To
Yeah.
answer your question, I think the 1-star initiation, I think it's funny. It's good if it's done in good taste.
Yeah.
If you're not trying to blast or argue the review. If you're trying to argue it, then I think you've got a little bit of a problem.
And that's where I think the fine line, that's where my distaste comes from, because I feel like I've seen a lot of authors try to argue with it. Like they
Yeah.
post and say it's funny, but
Yeah.
then they argue with it. And I'm like,
Right.
that's distasteful.
Right.
And I guess I brought the question up because I kind of had a different perspective, like out of body experience this morning when I was kind of reading through the comments. And a few
Mhm.
readers were saying, when readers see authors doing this,
Yeah.
it comes across as both distasteful and petty. And it
Yeah.
actually ruins the reader's perception of the author.
Interesting.
And that's
Interesting.
where
Okay.
I really started thinking, and I'm like, wow, because I had never thought about that before. Prior to that, most of the time I
Yeah.
just chuckle when I see the 1-star review
Right.
initiation post where they're like, look
Yeah.
how, whatever they want to say. But when I saw those comments, I thought that's a different perspective. And that really gets me thinking, like, the author community might think it's funny, but it might
Right.
be damaging on the reader side.
I can see that, and that's a side of it that I had not really thought about.
I hadn't either until this morning.
And maybe it's a side that I don't care about because, people on both sides and people on all sides need to stop being so butthurt about
Well,
everything.
and there was a
Is the bottom
hypersensitivity
line.
too. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right.
okay,
It's like, dude,
everybody,
everybody just grow
we're all
up.
human.
Right.
We're all human.
Yeah.
I think you and I said that last week. We're all
Yeah.
human. Let's
You
start
know,
embracing that.
right. So that might be part of it too. Is
Yeah.
the readers, she and this person doesn't appreciate this. Shut up, man. Just go live your life. I don't care. So yeah, it's a little bit both.
Yeah.
Authors
I
can
agree.
Yeah, the authors can be petty, or they can take too much offense to it or try to defend it too much. That's no goo. And on the same side, the readers, after seeing that, can form an opinion on the author that
Right.
is
Because
not
again,
quite accurate.
this is only social media. You're only
Right.
getting a sliver of who this
Right.
individual is, or your
Exactly.
tone, how they write something you might interpret completely different than what it was supposed to be
Right.
delivered as. That's
It's
where
funny.
you
There's
got to be strategic.
the PlayStation State of Play. They do a State of Play, I think, like twice a year, showing new games and things like
Yeah.
that. And a game got announced that me and my buddy are super stoked for. It's one of the first game in the series is probably one of the best games in history of ever. It's amazing. So the sequel just got announced, and it looks just, as incredible, if not better. Which a lot of times sequels don't look that great. You're like, oh
Yeah.
man, that
You
might
get the
not be great.
curse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it just looks incredible. The team that does it is just an incredible team. And so, anyways, I was super stoked to see it. And my friend sent an article saying that the main actress who voices the main protagonist is pretty extreme in certain beliefs and extreme in
Oh,
certain
really?
and things that I definitely am not on the same page with. But it just, I basically told him, and this is kind of how it needs to be between the reader author relationship. Because I told him, I said, you know what? I'm from the 90s. I don't care all that much about what they stand for or what they believe in or whatever, because I'm here for what she's providing for the game.
Right.
So as long as she doesn't bring these extreme beliefs in, or these things that I don't agree with, and forces me to abide by them, or to try to inundate me with them, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. She's the creator, I'm the receiver of the creation, and that's where the relationship ends.
Oh, thank you. I
Right.
feel that way so much. It's
So
like,
it's kind of like the same thing in the reader writer community. And and Stephen King, I think it was Stephen King, maybe it was Anne Rice. It was in that era where Anne Rice, of course, was still doing her thing. But one of them has said, the mystery of the author has disappeared with the coming of social media,
oh, wow.
because
I love that.
the author used to have a little blurb on the back of the book,
And that's all
maybe
you
with a
had.
picture, maybe with not, and
Yeah.
that was it. No
Yeah.
website, no, maybe Newsweek or whoever the paper publishing company was back in the day, the national publishing company, maybe they would have a article or an interview with them, but outside of that, there was nothing.
Right.
Now it's like every reader knows every single thing about every author. And so that's a whole different.
Even I was gonna say that, I mean, that transgresses into like the celebrity world
Right,
and like
exactly. Right.
bands and
Yeah.
everything. That
Yeah.
mystery is gone.
Yeah.
And I think again, it comes down to that fine line, man. I love that quote you said. That's the mystery of the author.
Yeah.
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 I don't know if it's an accountability or if it's a more of a respect because you know less about them
Right.
and there's no way to insert your opinions into their
Right.
lives and think
Right.
that there's I don't know.
Right.
I do
I
think
no, I
there's
think I
a
think insert is a good term, I think.
yeah.
And I think social media has broken down so many barriers that should not be broken down,
Yeah.
between friends, or Facebook friends, or fans, or readers writers, or writers or actor,
Yeah.
patron, whatever it is. There are so many walls that have been broken down that really should never have been broken down.
Well, and that's why it's so important now to be careful with what you post, what you say,
Yeah.
anything,
Right.
because like what you just said, the voice actress,
Right.
she stands for all these things that you're like, whoa, that's maybe not up my cup of
Right.
tea.
Right.
But now that separation is broken.
So
And
see, most people, yeah, and most people in today's age would say, whether it's one, say you have a liberal leaning person, and they really like this certain creator, this certain artist, a certain author, but then they find out that they have conservative views, and all of a sudden they hate them and they want them to be canceled. Or
exactly.
vice versa, you have a conservative, patron, and they find out that their favorite creator has liberal views or whatever, and oh yeah, it do you remember a time, hello people, knock knock, do you remember a time when that didn't matter, when we
People were
were
just
all
people.
human and we all had differences of opinions, and that's actually what made things beautiful, and we could go on with life, without having to concern ourselves with all that.
And that's sad because I
Yeah.
feel like again, it bleeds over into the writer to writer, reader to reader, reader to writer, writer to reader, whatever
Right.
you want to say, right? It's like
Right.
it bleeds over into that field too. And there's this insertion that people feel like they're doing in everybody's lives. It doesn't matter
Right.
what you're doing. It doesn't
Right.
matter if you're a
Exactly.
writer. It doesn't
Right.
matter if you're a singer. It doesn't matter if
Right.
you're working the bakery down the street.
Right. It
Like
doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. It doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter. This is
Right.
not directed just at writers or readers. Like
Yeah.
not. It's
It's
just
everything.
it's everything. It's like there seems to be a lack of respect
Yeah.
for individuals now, whether
Right.
they create something or not, whether they're Jan down the street or Ronnie
Right.
Radcliffe from
I
Falling in
like Jan.
Reverse. I
Jan's
know.
cool, man.
Jan's really cool.
Jan's all right.
She makes
Unless she was the one
cookies.
who's stealing your packages.
F
Because if
you.
that was Jan, look, we gonna get Jan for sure,
We get Jan.
man. But if
But
it wasn't
yeah.
Jan, then she's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But that's the thing. I just wish people were more human.
Yeah.
Like, and I
Yeah.
think maybe it'll come back. And
I hope
there's,
so.
again, I think we've beaten this dead horse, but there's just like so many amazing people we've met. But there has been an influx of where it feels like you meet these people wherever they are in your life,
Yeah.
where they kind of just like insert themselves. And
Right.
if you don't like their opinion, then the whole
Right.
world must know about it.
You know,
And you're like,
boundaries,
whoa.
boundaries, people. It's crazy how we have gone from relationships and just being human beings to being one thing or the other. You
Yeah,
know, identity not being so much as an individual, but as group identity. And, you know, if this person is part of that group, then they obviously can't be supported by this person in this group, or vice versa, or
exactly.
anything. That is a nasty place to be as a country, as a people.
As a
You know,
people,
it's a
man, it's just
terrible place
like,
to be as a people.
what happened, man? We all came from a womb. Like we're
Right, right. Or did we? Thank you all for listening. We're two authors talking writing. Hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, give us a like, give us a review. We'd really appreciate it. Until next time, laters.
later.